lightning and thunder happens every other day. Don't just use it for an emergency. Just make sure that it's always stocked. Always make sure that you have cash, at least a little bit on hand. Stay safe and be smart. Hi guys, it's Crystal. Welcome back. We are doing Storm Prep 101, not just for humans, but for our four-legged friends as well. I'm gonna go over what I keep in my emergency supply kit, as well as a quick tip on where to go in your house if a tornado might be coming. So let's get on with the video. All right, so with my emergency kit, here in Texas, it has been a lot of weather. I first got hit with lots of floods, and then the freeze, and then a tornado watch, and then a tornado warning, and then lightning and thunder happens every other day, and there's wind right now at 40 miles per hour gusts, and we just really do have all types of weather. And so I've learned the hard way, and so hopefully I can help you guys learn the easy way with the essentials for your kit. Now, the first thing I'm gonna start off with is one that you should use whenever. Don't just use it for an emergency, just make sure that it's always stocked, and that is a first aid kit. So with this first aid kit, I recommend the big ones. You can definitely cater your own first aid kit, but this one is gonna have everything you may need when it comes to gloves, emergency blankets, ice packs, everything. Sting relief, which I do feel like is very important, and like antiseptic wipes. Those are probably the ones I use the most out of this. And if it's not, then it's these gauze pads. And these are great for owies for dogs or for humans, but these help with just like wiping boogers from dogs. But you'll notice that with canines at least, like this is all you'll really use from the kit other than any sort of disinfectant. And this is for dogs, but you can use it for humans too. It is just a medical wrap, but it tastes bad, so the dogs won't chew it off. It's also way better than the human grade medical wrap, and me and everyone in my life always chooses the dog wrap instead. Now this is just in case there's an actual, injury. It's always good to have first aid, but there's multiple uses for a first aid kit. And then the dog first aid aspect would be quick powder. So when dogs' nails get too long or, they're running, anything, when the quick is cut open, they will bleed out. So you'll notice if a dog does, if you're cutting their nails and they start to bleed, they may go run into the dirt. That's kind of the same thing as this. So if you don't have quick, you can use dirt, you can use cornstarch, flour, really any sort of caking agent to stop the bleeding. This one is essential for every day, but also for emergencies. And then continuing with the dog theme, I have a vet slip lead. So this is a little different than a normal leash. And the reason is it's very, very quick and very, waterproof and all the things. So for this one, you just slip it on a dog, very easy. And it's for really any type of animal because it can go super small. I find these to be the most handy. Not only can you use it as a leash, it can be used as a million different things. So let's say you need to store your food up in a tree. If you need to muzzle a dog, if you need to, create some sort of barrier, this is great. It's kind of like a guy line. There's really a million things you can do with this. So I highly recommend some sort of string or a vet slip lead. Matches are super important. Now, of course you can have a lighter, but the one time you're gonna need it, it's not gonna have the fluid in it. So I just recommend old school matches. Now this is for obviously any reason, but I always have some sort of emergency candle that's really for light out of everything. This one is probably too fragrant for dogs, but it's just what I had on hand. Unscented candles are best, but if you don't want to do the whole fire thing, ironically enough, I have this right next to me. These ones are battery powered. The only thing is the battery dies really fast. So have batteries on hand and you don't have to worry about it. But these ones are great, especially when you lose power, because you just have a little remote, you turn them on and they're basically flashlights. And then I have this flashlight. So this is a different kind of flashlight. It's an SOS flashlight. So one side is the normal standard, and then the other side does red and blue and white to kind of, flash for any actual emergency. If someone needed to find you, it would be a really lovely thing to be able to flash this, especially if you can't communicate. And it also, it has a charging area, so it charges devices. It has a USB-C and a USB, so that's always nice. And it goes on a tripod. Now that one is great for more of a handheld thing. These ones are great just to have kind of in the corner. They're definitely just a lantern, so it like illuminates the space, but not necessarily a focused light. So I like to have both. I know that's kind of a lot, but it is very important. You'll notice, especially when you're trying to head count dogs, if you can have one area lit, it's a little bit better to kind of keep them contained. And then same kind of thing. This is also a flashlight. I use this more for the radio. So if you live in an area where you get a radio, I don't get one, but you can use this. It's solar powered, and then I believe you can also charge it. And there is all of the radio stations you may need. And then it also has a charging port for your devices, since everything is off of a device now. And it has a kickstand. So it's kind of nice just to like be able to find the tune for the radio. I have jugs and jugs and jugs of emergency water because in the country, your water, especially on city water, gets turned off for no apparent reason. So it's very important to have a bunch of water, especially when you have canines. I also recommend having those gallon jugs with a filter in it so you can fill up any kind of water and filter it out for the dogs. But I always have, personal water bottles on hand and drinking water, at least 2 gallons, probably more. I have 5-gallon jugs. I probably have five 5-gallon jugs. It's about 3 to 5 days of water you want to have. Now, these are definitely not essential, but so beneficial when you have them. These are hot hands. We all know and love them. During the freeze, these saved me. Texas, about 4.5 years ago, froze over. Most snow they've seen in 100 years. Whatever, I'm from California. I didn't expect that. I didn't have snow gear, and the hot hands, kept the dogs warm as well, which was super important to me. They also make them for your boots, which is super cool. Then we have this. This is your food supply. Now, this is something that you should always have on deck. I think it's super important. If you don't stock your pantry, it's always good to have some sort of essential, nutrients for you. And although I haven't had, an opportunity to use this yet, it's kind of a blessing. It's just very, very good and very affordable for what you get. If it's about to expire, you can just eat the food and then, re-up. So this is some of the essentials that I would personally bring or have, in an emergency room or to be able to leave quickly. In addition, you would have, any documents that you may need and cash, because a lot of the times if the power's out, any sort of like credit or debit transactions won't be able to be used. So always make sure that you have cash, at least a little bit on hand. And then my last tip is if you are in a tornado warning or a tornado path or any sort of hazardous weather, you want to go into a central room with no windows. So for me, I only have one room in the entire house that doesn't have windows, and that is the bathroom. I already have 2 canines that kind of like, hang out in there for the most part. So for me, it would be the easiest to go into that room. So that room already has all of this emergency stuff in the cabinet, just in case. And then that has the bathtub where you can put dogs in the bathtub to keep them kind of contained. And that also is where you should go, or underneath any sort of vanity if there is a tornado. Luckily, I have not been close enough to be in a tornado, but it is definitely a possibility out here in the country. So make sure you guys stay safe and be smart with what you bring and just be prepared. It's very important. But hopefully this helped you guys a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video where we went over everything you need to storm prep in regards to an emergency supply kit and where to go if there's a tornado. Crazy to say, but it's always really good to be prepared. Make sure you comment down below what your best emergency supply tip and trick is. I definitely think we should share all of our info down in the comments. Like this video and subscribe because I post videos once a week, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye guys.